I have to make a video on. Let me put my headphones because I got the window open so that I can hang the phone on the. Okay, so let's get to it. The promiscuous woman in Proverbs. You got the strange woman and you got the prostitute. Listen, it's very simple. The prostitute if you go to, for example, Proverbs chapter 5, 6, and 7, focus on those three chapters. Proverbs 5, 6, and 7. I hope I didn't mess up my beard taking off the thing. But Proverbs 5, 6, and 7. Just read that. 5, 6, and 7. There are two types of women described in Proverbs 5, 6, and 7. The prostitute and the strange woman. If you pay attention, the strange woman is always associated with the woman who has a husband who is away on a trip. She is always associated with an adulterous woman, a cheating woman. But a prostitute is a prostitute. And if you pay attention to 5, 6, and 7 of Proverbs, Solomon only tells his sons. Remember, he's the congregator. He has a lot of sons, as you can imagine. It's Solomon, people. And he's warning his sons. Listen, stay far away from the strange woman. And I'm going to explain what the strange means. Stay away from the strange woman, the adulterous woman, the woman who has a husband, who's away on a trip. Stay far away from her. Because if you deal with her, that's fire in the bosom. You will get burned. In fact, you will lose your life. You're risking your soul if you have dealings with the strange woman, the adulterous woman. Context tells you who the strange woman is. She has a husband. She's owned by someone. She belongs to someone. But when it comes to the prostitute, Solomon says, be careful with the prostitute because you will squander your wealth on the prostitute. You'll squander your wealth on the prostitute. Well, if the Mosaic law, if there's any noise, excuse it because I have the windows open so you could see me at a good level. If there's a Mosaic law that punishes people who sleeps with prostitutes, then first of all, the prostitute also will be put to death. So you yourself who is having dealings with the prostitute, you won't even be alive long enough to squander your wealth because the law demands that you be put to death. But you have to understand there is no Mosaic law that warrants a person who sleeps with a prostitute to be put to death. And I'm not going to go into detail because I've already proven this time and time again in my other videos. So take up your case with my other videos. Okay, but I'll address it real quick. One, where God speaks about that no daughter or son of Israel may become a temple, a kadesh, a holy or a sacred prostitute, a prostitute who is in association with an idol. Why does he make that specific prohibition, but doesn't just give the prohibition against all forms of prostitution? And if a woman is committing prostitution in her father's house, that's because she's in her father's house. She is not living in her own house. That's why she's to be put to death for committing prostitution in her father's house. And if she's the daughter of a priest, she should be burned for committing prostitution in her father's house while her father is a priest. Or because her father is a priest, she should be burned. Any other woman is outside of that context. It doesn't apply to her. So hence why the two prostitutes who came before Solomon were not to be put to death, but just whoever the child belongs to, that's the woman that Solomon gave the child to. So with the prostitute, remember the prodigal son who ran away and squandered his wealth on prostitutes. Christ even said this from his own mouth. The Mosaic law didn't demand that the son who squandered his wealth on prostitutes be put to death. No, it didn't. That's why in Christ's illustration, the prodigal son could come back under the Mosaic system and come and live in his father's house again. Even more so this is even more pivotal when we understand that this illustration, the father of this illustration is God. And the prodigal son is a servant of the Most High who squandered his wealth on prostitutes. I don't think I have to explain this any further, right? At least this portion. So Solomon is saying, yeah, don't deal with the woman who belongs to another man, because the Mosaic law warrants that you be put to death. But with the prostitute, be careful, because you will squander all your wealth on prostitutes. In other words, you become poor if you have to get into the prostitutes. Now, why does the woman who belongs to another man, the adulterer, why is she called as a strange woman? Because she's supposed to be a stranger to you. You're not supposed to know your fellow man's wife. You know, when Adam sleeps with Eve, the Bible said that Adam knew Eve. In the Bible, when a man comes to know a woman, it means he had sexual relations with her. He knew her intimately, like he knows what she looks like naked. He knew her. We understand that terminology as far as the Bible is concerned. So, if a woman is supposed to be a strange woman, it means you're not supposed to know her. I think you guys get the point. A man can sleep with prostitutes and not break the Mosaic law. Yeah, I proved this already in my other videos. But Proverbs is another book to prove to you that premarital sex is not fornication. Someone commented, he asked a lot of good questions, and he made mention about Nehemiah and how he got angry at the Israelite men who had Ammonite and Hittite and different pagan wives. And he remember, Nehemiah was a governor, and they had just came back to try and rebuild Jerusalem, right? And when he came back to help to oversee the rebuilding of Jerusalem, when the king granted him, freedom to go and oversee what was being done in Jerusalem, he noticed that a lot of the Israelite men had these pagan wives, and they were referred to as strange women. We know them as strange women. Again, the reason why, even though it is okay for men to have pagan wives, it's still not a good thing. It's not advised to do so. Again, the same thing with prostitutes. I'm not saying go and sleep with prostitutes. What I am saying is that no one can condemn you if you do. Understand, though, that you're treading on very dangerous waters, especially today with diseases and... Okay, well, anyway, Solomon did warn you, be careful with prostitutes. He didn't say, yeah, don't worry about them, you can sleep with them. No, he's warning you not to do it. I'm just saying, and he's telling you, according to the Mosaic law, there's no death penalty. Okay, now, the reason why the Israelites were exiled in the first place was because of their dealings with these pagan women who caused them to fall into idolatry. Solomon was married to many pagan women. That's why in his older age, as he became less patient with his wives, he fell into idolatry. And that's when idol worship began. It began because of Solomon. Before Solomon, this wasn't really the case. At the time of David, idolatry wasn't really a problem. But actually it kind of was, which was why that whole census that David took was a means by which God used to punish the Israelites, because the Israelites were guilty of something that Solomon was not privy to. And that's why God punished the Israelites that David was not privy to. That's why God punished the Israelites and not David at that time, right? David committed two grave sins in his life, Bathsheba, and the second one was the census that he took of Israel. But it wasn't really his sin. That's why he wasn't punished for it, but Israel was. But that's because Israel was guilty of something, and I hypothesized that it was idolatry. But really, idol worship took its toll, or really began with Solomon, because of all the pagan wives that he had. And he set up shrines for all of them. Okay? And this is fornication. And when you sleep with a woman who is involved with idol worship, this too is sexual fornication, sexual idolatry. That's what fornication is. It's not premarital sex. That's why there's no Mosaic law against premarital sex. It's just that when you sleep with a woman, you have to marry her. That's if the terms constitutes that. If she's a virgin, for example, and she was a father, but if she's not a virgin, if she was taken as a slave and she has no owner and she's a virgin, these laws really don't even apply to even that type of virgin. But again, that's going way off topic. So now, these women will lead, these pagan women will lead the Israelites into committing fornication, idolatry. So Nehemiah is basically saying, what you're doing, you haven't learned from your lesson. You haven't learned from your ancestors. The reason why we were exiled for 70 plus years and beyond is because of these women. And now that we've been reinstated back to our land of Jerusalem, our holy land, you're going to bring these women back to fall into the same perpetual problem. No. Get rid of these women. Okay, now if a man could have these pagan women and not fall into idolatry, more power to you, then fine. But Nehemiah is not about to take that risk again. That's the whole point behind that. So as far as these pagan women are concerned, they're supposed to be strange women to us. The wife of another man, she's supposed to be a strange woman to you. You're not supposed to know her. My best friend, Franco, forget about that knowing of a woman. I don't even really know his girlfriend like that. My best friend, Franco. I don't have her number. I don't have her Instagram. I don't know her at all. I don't even know her I know her father because, you know, I've met because he lives around the neighborhood where Franco lives. But forget about the biblical term of knowing a woman. I don't even know my best friend's girl or wife. Technically, his wife, even though they're not married, but in the eyes of God, they are, because they have sexual relations. So they are married. So that's his wife. That's his bieshtov. Remember, in Hebrew, there is no Hebrew word for wife. It's just woman. So she is your woman. But in English, we say she is your wife. But no, she's technically just your woman. You understand? So, bieshtov. So I don't, my uncle, if a woman belongs to somebody, I'm not going to have any dealings with that woman unless I have no choice but to have dealings with the woman. For example, the woman who takes care of my patents and trademarks, she's a lawyer, and so I deal with her because of that. But she's married. So you understand? So it's not like, oh, if she's married, I can't deal with her. No. If I can avoid a married woman, I will. If I have no choice but to deal with her, then I will. But that fear of God helps me to know my limits. You understand? So I only deal with the man. You understand? I can deal with a woman too if she's single. But don't misquote me. I can deal with a married woman, but I'd rather not unless I have to. You understand? I'm not supposed to even take away the biblical meaning of knowing a woman, right? Just a regular term of knowing, like I know the squirrel, I know people that I work with, right? Okay, I don't even want to know a married woman. I don't want to know. For what? For what? Remember, jealousy, there's a very thin line. Like, things can happen. I don't even play those games. You understand? So when the Bible says that a woman is supposed to be a strange woman to you, you're not supposed to even know her. Forget about intimate knowledge. You're not even supposed to be familiar. You're not supposed to be familiar with her. Okay? So Proverbs is a book that proves. I mean, even the Song of Solomon is about two lovers who are not married who engage in eroticism. If you don't know, the Song of Solomon is a very erotic book for its time, and it's about two people, a man and a woman, who engage in eroticism, but they're not married. And Solomon is trying to take her from her lover. So this whole thing about premarital sex and even prostitution, like, you know, that's why I made my videos on it. But I just wanted to address this real quick. This video was kind of like all over the place, but hopefully it helps you to understand that these things are deep topics, okay? And it's not just black and white. It's not. Hence why the two prostitutes were not sentenced to death. Yeah. All right, peace.